To build fair scale and do what we're doing is really to reinstill trust in the ecosystem. Like an example I use is 99% of my friends don't like crypto, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to get involved, and that is because they just don't trust the space. And actually, if I can build something that improves that for the people outside of the ecosystem to bring them in, I've kind of done my job, and we're doing it in a really interesting way with Fascale.
Very cool. Adam, thanks for joining us today. Maybe briefly how you met Rishi here and brought him on board, and why you think Star is going to be a good fit for him.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me, guys. I met Rish through an introduction from Hyperstrike, who is a member of the Dutch Solana community. We met at the first shipyard in Amsterdam, actually, which is pretty cool to see the Solana community for devs building up in the Netherlands. And Hyper introduced us, and at the time, I think, Rish, you were exploring like an equity fundraise or like an equity token warrant. And I kind of just like gave you some real unsolicited advice. I was like, hey, like, that's great, but have you thought about Futarchy? It might be a much better model for, allocating ownership and kind of accruing all value back to one asset. And we had a few calls about that. And then, basically Rich came back and was like, hey, I think Star would be a great fit for us. We've seen the work you guys have put in with Surf. And I think just generally our like really hands-on approach with founders brought him on board. I don't know, Rich, you can comment there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the one thing, I think I said this to Adam in person when I met him at Breakpoint this year, was the guys really do go to war for their founders. And, you know, that's what we want. We a launchpad or a platform to support us is more about the people behind it than, you know, what they can potentially bring technically. And I think the Star team just have that covered across the board. And even like the video you guys just had on screen, you know, the Star team made that for us. And I think that's just a testament to the quality that they bring across the board. And yeah, it was, and I have to say, like, the level of due diligence that the Star team do is insane in the best possible way. Like that whole process just gave us even more confidence that we've made the right decision. That, you know,
what does that due diligence process look like? Not from Adam. We want to hear it from Rishi.
It is, if I had to summarize it, it is the Star CTO basically just drilling into everything that we're doing and how, like, why it works. And I think really just proving why we deserve to exist, right? I think that's anyone who's going to put so much effort and really go to war for us like that needs to know there's potential and a reason for us to exist. And thankfully we were able to prove that. But yeah, they made some good decisions. And also, like, even just through the due diligence process, taught us a lot about actually, you know, there's a couple of gaps here. This is what you can improve. And you know, fortunately, we were able to prove that in the end and take their advice on board. But yeah, the stars really did align for us with meeting these guys.
Nice.
That was really cringy.
No, we love it. So Fairscale is doing something unique. You can see here on the screen, it said building a reputation score. We've seen some attempts at this with, you know, like Echo and maybe some other platforms. Get us into, you know, what a reputation score actually is, why it's important, and like what made you guys decide to build in that vertical.
Yeah, so in terms of what a reputation score is, and in our eyes in particular, it's the way that we do it is we collate information, data, whatever you want to call it, from 3 different pipelines. So we look at on-chain behavior, social behavior, and then off-chain analysis. Things like development commits, GitHub connects, and even now with one of our latest integrations with a company called BIQ, like even attendance at Solana events, which is really cool. Like, it's an all-encompassing reputation score. And I guess in terms of why we're doing it the way we're doing it and potentially how we differ compared to anyone else that's tried this before, we have gone down the route of being dynamic, firstly. So we've been really selective and purposeful with the team that we've brought on to build this with us. One is a good friend of mine, and one is someone I met through this journey, and they're both either have a PhD or master's in data science. And we wanted to really kind of try and scientifically prove trust. But the biggest problem we had to solve was that when you're trying to score people or really wanting to be, I guess, decentralized, there can't be someone in the background, me, my CTO, anyone on the team, basically saying, you know, this is how much your token holding behavior should contribute to your score, or this is how much your social behavior should contribute to your score. One, because, you know, we're not the people that should determine that. And 2, it's very easily gamed. If someone understands your weightings and how you're actually operating, I think if you look at a lot of the InfoFi projects, it all just becomes slop. People are just farming it. And the way we do that differently is we have our algorithm, and then we have a neural network laid on top of that. So as behavior shifts, as the overall market shifts, our scoring model adjusts its weighting. So it's a constantly shifting scale, and scores update every 24 hours at the moment based on how that data has adjusted. So if the entire market just decides, right, I'm going to snipe a load of tokens, I'm going to unstake all my Solana and stop using every single protocol in the ecosystem, then that bar shifts and actually gets lower. So the people that are actually, still doing positive behavior have an increase in their score. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they say men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Do you think data tells the entire story of somebody and who they are as an investor person? Like, does this encompass everything that needs to be encompassed?
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point, and that's why we decided to go down the route of being essentially all-encompassing. So we don't just look at on-chain behavior, because frankly, that doesn't determine how reputable or credible you are. We don't just look at social behavior, because again, it doesn't really mean anything out of context. I think getting a reputation score where we combine the two, and we also look at how you contribute to the ecosystem with things like event attendance, who you're actually interacting with physically, which we're doing via BIC without integrations. I think that's when it becomes an all-encompassing reputation score. And I'm absolutely not kind of sitting here saying that we've nailed it and it's perfect. We've only actually just gone live with the MVP. But the really beautiful thing about this and with the team that we're working with is that as new things come about, like again, I keep talking about the BIC integration, but as things like that come about, we really try and stick to looking out for people who are doing things well and working with them rather than trying to replicate what they're doing. And our data pipelines are extremely scalable, so we can always add new data pipelines in to actually just adjust the scoring model and work with how the market is shifting.
Can you? I do. Or sorry, Dom, go ahead. I'll let you finish your line of thinking.
Yeah. And when I think about this, you look at Echo and some other stuff, and people always try to game these systems. Of course, you can never account for all sorts of people trying to game it. You can do your best to try. But when you think about your system compared to other things, is it something that people can game? Can they, hey, you go vote for me, boost my score? Is there any of that going on, or something you guys think about?
A classic Uber star example. Hey, give me 5 stars for a great ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but to be honest, no, because of how our model is built and how the way things adjust, unless the entire ecosystem decided, right, we're all going to try and game this at the same time, then no, it can't be gamed. And that is because the bar shifts as overall behavior shifts. I think in terms of, trying to pay to play or pay other people to boost your scores, it's absolutely something we're conscious about. And that's, to be honest, why we haven't gone into phase 2 yet, which is the community validated reviews that feed into the scoring model. So a new feature that will be coming up is where someone can actually vouch for you, write a review for you about you or your profile. But we're conscious, we've seen and we keep a close eye on people like Ethos who are doing something similar. And we just want to learn a bit more about how we can really perfect that, avoid that gaming before we go live with it. And we are coming up with some kind of innovative solutions. One really big one is actually staking Solana against someone's reputation, to really, put your money where I guess their mouth is, in a sense, if you really want to vouch for them. But yeah, that's why we've been purposeful.
Yeah, I mean, so sorry, just on that last staking bit, and then I'll ask my question. So if I wanted to get Dom in a round or something that I was participating, I could stake Sol and bring Dom in. Is that correct?
In theory, I guess it would need to be a lot. We haven't really thought about how we're weighting that just yet, in terms of actually how much your vouch for him would contribute to his overall score. It would just be one feature of his score, really.
Okay, got it. So I guess my my question is more just like I'm trying to get like examples. So we have people watching the stream. They'll ideally go to your platform and set up their profile so they can participate in rounds. But let's use ourselves as examples. Like we stream every single day. We've done 200 shows. We meet everybody. We talk to everybody. Talk to investors. Investors watch this. Like I would think our scores, you would want to have someone like Dom or myself in some of these rounds. How would our scores show up on your platform? Dom, for instance, I'll give you a little more context. He's very active. Like he is one of the top on Soar's platform because he's very active on chain and ICM. I am a little less active on chain, but I have a large platform and am a long-term bag holder on many, many things. So give me a breakdown. How would our scores look on your platform?
So I guess in terms of, maybe starting with you, Dom, because it sounds like a pretty heavy trader, you invest a lot in size, and I guess yours would be very on-chain focused. On-chain behavior is actually a larger part of the score at the moment versus social. And we've done that because we have more data pipelines on the on-chain side. We look at your ecosystem behavior, your protocol diversity, the size of your portfolio, how long you're holding it for, connected wallets, all this kind of thing. So I would say, Dom, you would have a pretty decent score. I would say the bar is quite high at the moment because we're still quite early. The model is training itself, and actually scores are adjusting on a daily basis, like I said. And then moving on to the social side for you, like I think we need to be, what we look at isn't how many people are interacting with you solely. Like, again, that becomes game. That's very easy to fake. We look at what you're saying on socials, the sentiment of it, if it's positive, negative, compared to the ecosystem, the type of content that you're posting out, if it's very shilly, if it's very kind of calling people to action, and how positive or negative that is as well. And again, this is MVP, but we're currently in the process of integrating not necessarily smart followers, but connecting the actual fair ecosystem within. So looking at actually how many high scoring people follow you and vice versa, or how many low scoring people follow each other. And then doing that again on the on-chain side to look at, okay, is Dom interacting with loads of really low scoring wallets, and therefore we should kind of look into that, or is his on-chain behavior also, you know, very well connected in that sense?
And if he's like a bundler, if he's like a serial sniper bundler, would it detect, you know, you said connected wallets, would it see that they're this, you know, is prone to bundling stuff? Not saying Dom is a bundler, but if he was.
If he was, I'm sorry, you're bottom of the pile, basically.
Oh, wow.
Good. All right, kick the bundlers
Rest in
out.
peace.
Yeah, rip. So no multi-walling, no getting away with that, even if it's not registered.
No, so we look at wallets that are interacting with you, and even down to things like how many failed transactions versus successful transactions, to actually look at, you know, is this if it's an inactive wallet or if it's running bots or things like that. But yeah,
Curious if it goes even deeper. You know, I know plenty of people, and maybe I've done this myself, but how I trade with plenty of wallets, most of which are funded through mixers or centralized exchanges. So there's no real way to track them. And the best way to track them is typically, okay, well, they're buying with similar sizes at the same time. Are you guys able to detect something like that where it has no physical blockchain connection, but it is trading in a very similar pattern that might suggest it's connected?
yeah. So this is something that we're looking into at the moment. I wouldn't say we've nailed this right away, but it's also, I was having a really good conversation with someone close to me, and looking at that on the NFT side as well, in terms of pre-sales, like botting pre-sales, things like that. We really just want to nail that. And again, we've been purposeful with taking our time with it to make sure that, like, the worst thing we want to do is have someone who is extremely positive, like should be top scoring, and because of something to do with their connected wallets, they're getting scored lower. Like, you know, we need to be confident in that, and we're just in the process of validating that at the moment.
Fair enough. I want to kind of take this a step back and understand, like, why is this important? Why is this applicable? Who's going to use this? For example, we have Star here. Maybe going forward, Star will have this for future raises implemented. But from your perspective, you know, who is the target audience of this? Why is this applicable? Where is it applicable?
Yeah, so in short, I would say it's applicable wherever reputation matters at the point of interaction. So I think if you look at some of our, I don't know if you've seen, but some of our first cohort of integrations, that's across launchpads, like with the Star team, or with lending protocols or neobanks. So we're working with TigerPay for one, who are an upcoming neobank, who are actually wanting to kind of take a bet on going for uncollateralized lending on Solana. And we plug in at the point of interaction to actually score wallets that are going through the TigerPay platform, to give them an idea of the credibility of that individual, to then make a decision whether or not they will offer them lending or what rate. Similarly, I think if you look at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, distribution is a big problem that we have. Not a problem in terms of distribution itself, but there's a problem with how we're conducting it. I think that's twofold. One is access on things like launchpads. If you look at the most recent example I can think of is the Humidify wet launch, right? Like, that was on Jupiter. You would think with a platform like Jupiter that nothing like that would happen. They would have measures in place, and this isn't anything against Jupiter. It's the ecosystem just always wanting to do what they can to extract and farm and make as much money as they can. And I actually, funnily enough, got a message from the team at Metaplex after that saying, like, oh yeah, that launch could have used Fairscale. Like, that's on my pinned tweet on my bio. So that's where it becomes really important. And we're able to do that because we're dynamic, one, and we're extremely low cost, right? And we can score people, like you saw within the demo. A score is generated within a maximum of 15 seconds, depending on how much data we have to pull, which means we can plug in, like, on launchpads to score at the point of checking your allocations on a lending protocol like we have. and even on distribution platforms like our integration upcoming with Streamflow, which we'll be sharing over the next 24 hours or so. Where you
I really want you to solve this problem, Rishi, because this is like the thing that drives me insane, is that there's just the extractors are these math people that are extremely talented. They're like, they know how to do it. And then everyone else who's like, hey, I'm putting my $1,000 in here. I add more value than $1,000, just my capital. They often are buying these tokens and just getting absolutely dusted to these extractors, and all the charts, first five candles are like this, and then it's just down to the right, down into the lower right for the rest of history. And then the founder is kind of stuck with this community that's like pissed at them and stuff like that. Big problem to solve. And I hope you do it. My question here is more so, let's say I'm doing due diligence on a project, right? Like we saw with MetaDAO, Avicii did really well, launched at 4 million up and to the right. There wasn't that extraction. There wasn't like nonsense going on, and it performed well for people post-launch. If I have a project, can I punch them into Fairscale and say, hey, like how many trusted people were in this launch, and what percentage of the tokens are owned by people that have a quality of score that I can maybe trust? Like, is this also, as much as it's pre-launch, is this a post-launch tool as well?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because Adam can probably vouch for me here. So as actually part of our due diligence process, we ran a bit of a case study on a few different token projects. Avicii was one, Meta from MetaDAO was one, the Star token, and we even scored the people who invested in the most recent Star launch with Surfcash. And then we picked like this really random fucking shitcoin. I think it was Sansa because it was around Christmas. And we essentially uploaded a CSV of all the holders of that token, created a distribution graph. And I mean, thankfully for me, in the due diligence process to prove our concept, you could very clearly see the distribution of holder scores.
Can you share that here? Do you have this by chance, or like an image that shows that distribution? Because I think this is the math in action here, right? This is where it goes from, oh, this cool concept of like fair launching and we want good investors. Like I get all that. But to me, it's like, I want to know that on chain, it means something, right? In the performance or the potential performance, future performance of that token, right?
Absolutely. So let me just fish it out, because we did do
if it's a doc that you need, if you can throw it in Telegram, I can share like a Telegram window, or I can like help screen share here.
Let's see, and in the meantime, I can send something over to Adam too. Just curious, how is Star planning on using this?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I don't know if you touched on this, Rishi, about the post-launch airdrop.
Not yet. This was a perfect segue.
This is a perfect segue. Okay, amazing. So basically what we're going to do with the Fairscale raise is we're going to display the fair score at the moment of investing. And then we're going to use those fair scores retroactively to give people a bonus on their allocation. So if you have a higher allocation, if you have a higher score, you get a higher allocation, which will be sent via an airdrop once the raise is complete. So this is like the first touch of an integration. Our second phase would be to use Fairscale and the fair score to retroactively refund poor scoring wallets. So if you have like 1,000 low quality investors that have each invested $2, and you know that they're just going to give you headaches in the Telegram once you're actually up and running, then it might make sense to refund them at the moment of raising. And then third, and then this one from our perspective, we are very interested in, which is dynamically adjusting how much allocation you get to the raise depending on your score. This would be like the third and I think final boss of integration into Star. Alongside just like, I think, and this kind of ties in with the future of Star and where we're heading, which is not just being a fundraising platform and a launchpad, it's building like a social network between early stage startups and investors, be those angels, VCs, liquid funds, retail, on-chain investors, whatever you want to call them. And they're using the fair score dynamically to basically have a permanently displayed score next to someone's profile that people can always reference, whether they're just doing due diligence on who's involved in the raise, or whether they want to dynamically select people with above a certain fair score for their fundraise. So that was a big word salad, but like the TLDR is that the possibilities for integration with a platform like ours, like a fundraising platform, it's like almost endless. And yeah, I really believe in what Rishi and the team are building.
Nice. I think we got to talk about the launch. We got an upcoming launch here on the 19th.
Really quick, Dom, can we look through some of this data really quick, just to add confluence to our previous question? Because again, people want to kind of know, like, is this finance, or if there's mathematical kind of some proof points here. So I don't know if you want to walk us through this, because I think this is interesting.
Yeah, sure. So you can see the screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So essentially what we did here was pull the wallets of all the holders of, in this example, the star token and the holders of the shitcoin Santa. And what you can see here is the distribution of the scores within those communities. And I think if you look, and this is one testament to the star team, like they've curated a good community for their token without us already. But you can see the distribution is much more to the right. There's a much higher distribution towards the kind of 50 plus mark. And then you look at the Santa, the distribution there, there's quite a few wallets like in and around the 0 mark. And I'll tell you now, it's very difficult to get 0 on Fesco. Like we don't want to be scoring people 0. And overall, like the average score being 27 for Santa and 31.8 for Star. Now, bearing in mind, this example was before we made a few adjustments to the model before go live, but this is a real example of actually how that batch scoring works. Of
And
course,
so there's like 3 cohorts here. So you have cohort 1, I would say, is on the far left here. So it's like 0 to 20. Then you have the mid cohort, which overlaps pretty much both, which is 20 to, call it 50. And then you have 50 and up as the third cohort, which Star, is heavily in. Can you describe the behavior in each of these 3 cohorts just at a high level?
Yeah, so in terms of, I guess, starting with cohort 1, we're looking at people with either low quality wallets where it's either a newly funded wallet, it's brand new, it's not interactive with the ecosystem, it's very, whatever the opposite of diverse is, I can't think of the word, very, it doesn't use many different protocols or platforms, and it shows bot-like behavior. So we look at speed of transactions, the gap between transactions and the size of transactions. So first cohort, very likely to be bots. The second cohort is people that interact with a small number of platforms. Again, speed of transactions is probably a little more human-like here, but the holding behavior is particularly important on this second cohort. These are likely people that buy tokens, sell them very quickly. Their average kind of token holding time is very low, and they don't interact with the ecosystem in terms of staking Solana, even things like owning a wallet domain. We even look at things like if people own a Seeker, Solana Mobile, like just a small kind of addition there.
And then a good thing or a bad thing?
For us, it's more just kind of like if you own a Seeker, you're most likely going to be a human, right? It's not too weighted towards the actual positivity score, more like the humanity side of things. And then the final there you go. I'm sure you have a good score. Yeah, the final cohort here would be people that are interacting with the ecosystem in a positive way. They're staking Solana. Their token, their portfolio is actually positive as well, in the sense that their meme coin kind of distribution is probably a bit lower. Larger stables, volume, larger buy to sell ratio, longer hold times, all that kind of thing. Really the kind of investors that you would want participating in a raise or a sale.
So you could really say 0 to 20 is dumb money. 21 through, I don't know, call it 40 is your average investor, and then 40 and up is pretty much smart money.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. Can we transition into talking about the launch here, the ICO,
Yep.
and maybe some of the numbers, stats, all that good stuff?
How you make money as well.
Oh yeah, I gotta know how you make money.
So the main way we make money is via, so we're very much on the B2B side. So right now we make money via API integrations. So we have a per wallet scored per API call business model. Like I said before, we're very cheap in terms of how we operate and how we are able to scale this. We don't tend to put those costs forward to clients. So that's the main way. In the future, obviously we have token upside and things we're doing with the token, and more of like an opportunity marketplace model whereby, we've got the data for pretty much all of the kind of high scoring individuals on Solana, and then offer things like tasks, quests for other platforms to actually help onboard high quality users to their products. A couple of conversations we're having with people like Cast, the X Bank, even Star's previous launch in Surf Cash for that in the early stages.
How has growth been when you're taking this to companies or anyone that can utilize your product here? How has feedback been? How has growth been in terms of user base and people actually enjoying and using the product, paid customers? How's that going?
Really well. So in terms of growth of clients, like we have our first cohort of integrations before we even had the MVP live, which was only 3 days ago, which we're starting to now integrate. There's around 10 projects in that first cohort. Some of them I've already named. and some pretty large partners like Streamflow, All Domains, SNS, the Star Team, and a few more. And in terms of traction as well, just on that front, like we went live with the MVP on Monday. We thankfully, and with some help from Adam, again, like testament to the Star Team on that, got recognition from Solana Foundation, which of course amplified things a lot. We ended up with 2,000 verified users in the first less than 2 days. We're just about to hit 3K today, so a really strong growth trajectory. And I guess what I would say on that front is we took a bit of a leaf out of the Apple playbook in terms of having a long pipeline of features in the back pocket. So we're really utilizing that, launching new features. I mean, we've done 2 in 2 days now, and the third is coming later today to just keep that growth curve going.
Okay, where can I participate? ICO is coming up here on the 19th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
What also ask how much are you selling? What's the valuation? Give us the numbers for this raise.
Full scoop.
Yeah, sure. So of course we're launching on Star. 19th, it will be an ownership token. We're raising a minimum of 750K for 60%. We've gone down that route because a fair token linked to a platform that is going down the infrastructure route, it should be in the hands of this is investors in terms of how we actually integrate, where we integrate. And we really do believe that reputation is upcoming. I'm sure you'll have seen other like players coming about that are trying to tap into the market. We do feel that we've been working on this for 12 months now. We're quite far ahead in terms of where we are, and we have the right team to become essentially the market leaders in that. But because it's a new industry, we weren't going to go out there and try and raise at a 20-30 million valuation. We're going at a 1.25 million valuation for a reason, and we believe it's the right reason.
So you said you're looking for 750K. Is that going to be the maximum? Is that the minimum? Is it the maximum and the minimum?
It's the minimum, 750K minimum. And then over subscriptions, like Adam said, we'll be looking at post-launch, looking at pair scores, and also like Adam said as well, we'll be retrospectively scoring people with airdropping additional kind of bonus tokens for those who have high scores and those who invest.
And you said this is at a 1.4 million valuation. You would be buying it at
1.25.
1.25. Okay, does this fluctuate based on how much is raised, or is it the 1.25?
It depends on the discretionary cap at the end. So it depends on what is the final amount that Rishi and the team decide to keep. I think on that note, just like with Surf, we're in really close communication around how to set the discretionary cap so that A, it doesn't feel like an overinflated valuation, and B, that there's actually buying demand post raise. So yeah, that's something that we'll decide as the race goes on, but we do tend to really keep those things in mind.
Yeah, right, because it's important. As long with a successful raise, you can go and raise $20 million, but you also want to have a good chart to back that up, right? We typically see green candles are the best marketing, as they say, and so if you can find that sweet spot, then that's where you want to be. So good to
yeah, I also think it's a different, this type of fundraise under a futarchy it kind of introduces a whole new set of game theories, because they can keep 750K and then have tons of buying demand post raise. And then just once the project's proved itself, then run a decision market to raise more money. And people will probably be more bought into them raising more money down the line at actually a higher valuation than keeping an egregious amount from the start. So I think this model of proving yourself first and then raising more rather than hoarding all of the supply and all of the capital up front, I think it makes for a much better ecosystem dynamic between projects and investors. Okay,
let's say you hit the goal, you hit the 750 minimum. For hypothetical reasons, we'll just say $1 million flat to keep it simple. What's your current burn rate, and what would you use that money for? And then to follow that question, what do the unlocks look like? We've seen the MetaDAO model recently where it's you get unlocks for the team at 2x, 4x, 8x, up to 32, 34x. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so good questions. In terms of the first one, the burn rate, I can answer that with, we are giving ourselves an allowance of 75K per month. And the very large majority of that is going towards data pipeline expansion. Like I said, we want to become the all-encompassing scoring model. We want to be the reputation infrastructure. And to do that, data costs a lot of money. And we've purposefully, well, not purposefully, we haven't got those data pipelines yet because they require funding. Secondly, on the GTM kind of BD side of things, like I said, a large part of our business model is on the B2B side via API integrations. Everything right now has basically just been me as a founder reaching out to teams to see, are they interested and selling them on what we're doing. BD becomes a very important part of Fairscale's future, and with a goal of we're forecasting 3 million annual recurring revenue by the end of 2026. That does require around 50 paying clients. So for us to achieve that, we have to spend a little bit of money on that.
Is Adam a paying client? Is that what a paying client looks like, or?
We have a deal.
Yeah,
we're working something out here.
So the goal here is 50 enterprise contracts, or whatever you want to call them, generates you about 3 million ARR annually, and that's what you're projecting. Where do those projections come from? Is it based on current growth? What makes you kind of land on that number?
So current growth, yes, because we've onboarded, 10 integrations before we even had a product, before we really had anything to show. It's also based on the number of interactions that a user would have with that protocol. We have been kind of conservative with the model in the sense that, people like Streamflow, it's the go-to kind of platform for vesting and distribution on Solana, right?
Yep.
So we've onboarded them. We haven't really included their growth in our models. We've been super conservative, just not to we don't want to sound dumb saying we're going to achieve, 20, 30 million in year one. So it's all about user interaction with these platforms, and that's where the forecast.
What's your target ARPU, revenue per user? Like if you say how many API calls is a user going to generate? You have 3,000 users now, as an example, but 3 million ARR is amazing in your first year. That would be a huge win.
Yeah, we really do believe we can do it, and I think in terms of revenue per user, it's the beauty of this is that someone doesn't need to be a user of Fairscale for us to generate revenue from them. So although they would come to the Fairscale platform to check their score, understand their insights and what goes into it and how to improve it, actually because we plug in at an API level, all users of Streamflow, when they're creating a distribution contract, every time they create a contract on Streamflow, they call our API, it scores all the wallets they put in there, and that allows us to really go aggressive with growth. We don't actually need to bring people to the Fairscale platform. We bring people to Fairscale via our integrations, if that makes sense.
Cool. I think we pretty much covered everything that one needs to know. Is there anything you guys think we're missing here, or you want to cover or talk about before I want to talk to Adam a little bit about star updates, but
we have a couple minutes at max here before the next person joins, but we'd love to get some star updates as well. Yeah.
the juicy scoops. I think on the Fairscale note, one thing I would like to say before I talk a little bit about star is this and it's kind of ties into star as well. It's this idea of narrative-based investing. And I think the hot narratives by default, everyone's talking about neobanks, privacy, robotics. And when we first spoke to Fair and to Rishi and his team, it was clear that this was a team that really, really gives a shit about what they're solving. Narrative. They were doing this long before there was Fluent and before Meteora debuted their holder score, and other launchpads came about trying to do the same thing. They've been working on this for a while. So that was a really big signal for us. That's okay, maybe as a platform, we shouldn't be so focused on chasing existing narratives. We should be helping to create new ones. So that's one thing I would really like to say about Fair, that they are kind of a first mover. And with this launch will be the only way you can get exposure to reputation infra on Solana. Fluent's launching on Ethereum. All hats off to that team. I think they're doing a great job, but I really think there's a world in which Fair can own the market on Sol. And I'm hell-bent on helping to make that happen. So that's it on Fair. I think on Star's front.
Could I butt in real quick on that last note for Fair? And how long have you guys been working on this one?
12 months.
About a year. Okay. Noted. Just wanted to cover that. So
30 seconds.
Adam, on Fair, on Star. You guys migrated to a Futarchy decision market. Just give us the TLDR on all the updates, man. The scoop.
Okay, so Star is an ownership token. Buying Star gives you rights over our IP and also our treasury. You can go look how much money we have in the bank right now and all the tokens we hold there. Second, our pipeline of launches is filling up really fast. Surf Success was amazing for us. We have a prediction markets project planned for early Feb. Mid-Feb, we'll be launching quite possibly the most exciting crypto game I've ever come across. More news on that soon. We're also debuting a new fundraising primitive that will allow teams to raise pre-TGE. So that essentially opens up the ability for teams to raise without issuing liquid tokens. We've had much more, I think after discovering this problem, we saw that there's much more demand for teams that are looking to just raise and build their product a little bit further before TGEing. So we're basically solving that problem. That's coming out in a few weeks. And we hired a founding engineer who is a Rust wizard who can help us invent all kinds of new exciting stuff. And I think that's about it. And finally, last thing is we're gearing up for our own fundraise and we'll be doing so at the end of this quarter. So lots of exciting stuff in the pipeline.
Cool. And those who are on MCG for Surf Cash, that ran from $1 million to $6 million after the MCG show. And I know people were watching it because Damien and a few others replied to our show notes, and it ran up. So
yeah, yep. I'm glad we have to do another post TGE show with live coverage
for sure. We got to get you back on.
All right, guys. GM King's Mentality, how you doing? Good to have you back on this wonderful day, holiday day today. Actually, the US markets are not open today, so probably lower volume, and I'm just making sure my mic's good. All right, I think we're good, guys. Yeah, lower volume probably today. Obviously, US markets are closed. Pre-show, that was with Fair. That was from, or Star.Fun and their Fair launch. That ICO is happening today, by the way. And actually, this is their website. So we'll go ahead and watch this here. But this ICO is happening today. They're looking to raise 750K. So keep this, go follow Star.Fun on X and keep this one open, because Surf Cash actually was quite successful last time. At the end there, you heard me call out that we had Surf Cash on live. Actually, I was in Dubai at that time. It was like 1 a.m. my time, but Surf Cash ICO went live. They hopped on with Chill. It was so like 1.1 million, and it ran to 6 million. But here is Star.Fun's next launch, Fair Scale. So we'll watch it together here for you, with you guys. Okay. Glitching on let's go, guys. Come on, Josh. What do we got? What are we doing here? All right, guys. I have no idea why this is not wanting to cleanly run here. I don't know if it's elements within their page here. Let's see. I don't want to FUD their page, and I might pull it up on X instead. Here, let me pull it up on X instead, so we can watch it together, because I believe it is their pinned tweet. Yes. All right, here we go. So watch this together. All right, share this tab. All right, this is a video on X.
The system has never been fair. Extraction has been rewarded. True contribution ignored. Capital flows blindly to those who don't deserve it. Access is granted to those who haven't earned. We worship false idols. But what if we could rewrite the rules? Where quality finally wins, where reputation travels with you, where your actions finally matter. Balance the scales. A world where reputation is visible, where patterns reveal truth, where contribution finally gets recognized. A living system spanning countless data points that learns, adapts, and evolves with every transaction and interaction. One that enables meritocracy in a world where names don't matter. So what you do becomes who you are. What's your reputation worth?
All right. Star.Fun, always great video creative. So yeah, Fair Scale ICO happening today. This is the page for the ICO right here. We can see 750K target, did a 50K monthly allowance. Now, he mentioned, if you listen to the pre-show, that most of this was going to be used for integrations, different app integrations. And what Fairscale is trying to do is take your behavioral data, your off-chain data, and your on-chain data and consolidate it into a score so that it kind of ranks contributors by their reputation. Are they more likely to hold? Are they people who are serial bundlers? Do they sell right away? That kind of stuff. The idea here is you want to curate the best holders possible when you do a fundraise, because if you look at other fundraising mechanisms like venture capital, that's long-term sticky capital. It's value add. A lot of the times there's relationships and reputation that those investors bring. They're not likely to sell right away. And so what founders don't want to do, the problem that we have to solve if we want in the trenches for this to be, Solana to be a legit fundraising mechanism, is we have to solve for people who I don't want to say don't know how to invest, but just are trying to profit max and not kind of long-term aligned. And so platforms like this, Fair.club also, I believe, is working on something similar to this, but there are a number of reputation approaches here that I think is going to, people are going to look at launches. And we had actually on our stream, and I'll see if I can pull it up real quick. So when we did our stream, we showed some data. So it wasn't just kind of, like theoretically better. It actually was statistically better. And let me see if I can find that for you guys. Because one of the things I said, like, okay, this is cool, but like, does it change outcomes? Here we go. So I do have it up here. So right here, you can see there's this distribution of holders here, and then their corresponding scores. So I kind of mentioned, and go back and watch the stream, and he compares, in blue is the star token holders versus red is Santa, which was a hype pump fund launch at the time. So he did this analysis back in December, and you can clearly see there's kind of three cohorts here, 0 to 22. So this first kind of chunk in red dominated by the Santa holders. There's 22 to 50, which is where both overlap. And then you have mostly stars, which goes 50 plus. And you can think about these token holders on the far right as high value aligned, highly likely to be real and not bots, highly likely not to be bundlers or bad actors that max extract. The token holders in the middle are kind of a mix between human actors and, let's say, some automation. And then on the far left, this is just like bots and max extraction. These are people who bundle, flip, all the kind of stuff that you see as not value add and just, parasitic kind of token holders. So there is some mathematical credence to this. So anyways, go check this ICO out. Not a specific endorsement of the product. I've not tried it yet, but we had them on, and I think it was worth keeping an eye on. All right, Kalshi just, this is not Kalshi news. This is the NYSE to launch 24/7 stock trading on-chain tokenization through on-chain tokenization. Okay, great that this is being announced. The new legislation that was trying to get passed through was actually talking about not allowing tokenization, which for equities, which was kind of contrary to all the signal we're seeing at the agency level. I think that will get revised because clearly that's just a non-starter. Is, if the SEC says we want tokenization, then we want tokenization. That said, I think this is good because one of the key problems we see in crypto, because crypto trades 24/7, crypto tends to get sold off first. So if you have a geopolitical event, and this happened back when Iran attacked Israel and, the raid to capture Maduro, like there's countless examples that Friday, the markets close. The only thing liquid trading is crypto. All of a sudden a big geopolitical event happens and boom, there is the only thing you can sell is crypto. The only thing you can hedge with is crypto. And so crypto just gets absolutely hammered almost unfairly. And so I think what this allows is, yes, people will be trade 24/7, but people will be able to hedge elsewhere. They'll be able to hedge and trade and sell their other positions that are non-crypto positions. And so that's my take there. I think this is good for crypto to have these markets open beyond just, beyond just crypto when major events happen. Obviously, there's the other benefits of, just price discovery as information comes in 24/7. So I think that's a balanced thesis. Good for crypto. All right, we have a. This is just a where we are in the cycle. So kind of two things. One, Chill has talked about a coming alt season. And I'll show that chart in a second. But also this thesis here is the Russell 2000 small cap index is breaking out. And we can see when breakouts occur, you often get these kind of extended market runs of all these bullish confluence. Confluence is kind of, coming into play. And we're starting to see that again happening here. Let me just go and read. So here's what's happening in crypto. Crypto's been in a downtrend for 3 months. The October 10th crash flushed leverage and confidence. And I believe some people who are overextended got wiped out. Order books are thinner. More weak hands are already gone. At the same time, Q1 2026 brings the Clarity Act, which will lead to less manipulation, greater regulation, institutional interests. Guys, look, this is what I've been trading crypto for 10 years. I am the class of 2015, almost 2014. Like I'm talking January 2015. And I've been waiting for this moment for a decade. And here it is today. We have got the regulations. We're getting market structure right. The institutions are coming and building products for crypto. Like this is the golden period. This is the period where things great, wealth can be created. And we've seen these cycles before, 2016 to 2017, 2020 to 2021, 2023 to 2024. We've seen these cycles of just massive outperformance, NFTs, DeFi season, you name it, there's a narrative. We have a massive amount of narratives, ownership tokens, privacy, stable coins, on-chain equities, pre-IPO equities, meme coins, like prediction markets. We have all the narratives, guys, in the world. And we are about to see these kind of confluences of regulation, alt season and US small caps running. Stimmy checks, interest rates going down. Who knows? The US economy looks pretty the US economy looks pretty hot. So I think there's a lot going on here. I think you don't keep your eye on the ball. This is the time to pay attention. All right. It's so much the time to pay attention that they can't ignore it, guys. So why Solana? I have totally taken my focus off almost everything else. And I'm focused on Solana, and here's why. The crypto revenue generation is accelerating. So here is the fastest tech companies ever to reach $100 million in revenue. Of the fastest companies, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So 9 companies, and I believe there's 20 on the scale. Almost 50% of the fastest companies ever in existence to reach 100 million in revenue, half of them are built on top of Solana. And if you expand that out, there's an additional 1, 2, 3. I think this might be 1. I don't know if that's, 4. Like there's almost like 75% of the fastest companies to reach 100 million are crypto based, and half of them are Solana. You have OpenAI on here, you have Deal on here, you have Wiz, Snowflake, like Ramp. I don't even know what some of these companies are, but you have some like really like major kind of Web 2 companies. So what does this mean? If you're in institutional investing or you're a major investor, you're looking for undeniable facts that say crypto is highly scalable, has found product market fit, is where you should be launching your startup. And if you have a portfolio company, if you're a VC, you want it to be somehow integrated on chain, whether it's you have a small version of the float that's trading, anything that kind of brings on chain. The reason is the proof is in the pudding, guys. Half the fastest companies to 100 million are on Solana, and 75% of them have crypto-based business models. It means crypto's scalable, crypto has PMF and all the good stuff. So these are kind of the proof points that are absolutely undeniable. And it just means pay attention, pay attention. I think we're about to kind of see the generational run that we have been talking about. I am going to bring it back. I said I would bring up Chills. There's a few things that just popped onto my screen here. So I'll cover this in a second. But yeah, I'm going to bring up Chill's post here. I said I would. All right, Chill, my brother, you gotta pin this one because I keep using it. All right. Alt season. Where are you? Chill. Right here. Okay. Others BTC. So how you read this chart, the 2021 top, everything was outperforming Bitcoin. And then since then, we've seen a small percentage of tokens that outperform Bitcoin. And you can read these as risk on, risk off kind of moments, right? Raging bull market on chain right here. The 2024 top when Trump meme coin launched right here. And that's just been bleeding downside. We've seen other kind of narratives. We had an ICM season in the summer. I think that was around here this past summer ICM season. We've seen a few of these. However, it looks like we are about to break out, and we might see the altcoin on-chain trading that we've thought. And I've laid out a few narratives previous to this that give confidence. Happy Monday, Ave. Orgo, CPT, I feel like ownership season is around the corner. Absolutely. You guys, on January 15th, which was Thursday last week, Dom and I put out some warnings around bags, and I'll cover that in a second. But so yeah, this is just, again, I think things are setting up. Privacy narrative, ownership tokens narrative, meme coins narrative, prediction markets narrative. Guys, I talked about these narratives. I'm really, really thinking we are kind of right there. Pay attention. This is the moment. If you have friends and family who've been talking about crypto for years and who are, they're the type that pay attention when WIF is $3 billion, tap them on the shoulder today and say, hey, look, I don't know where you're at, but I think crypto is about to heat up, and go listen to my stream. You'll hear all my theses. Again, I like always, I'm open to being wrong on this, but I think there's a lot kind of lining up here. All right, let's get into some tickers. Ave, you just mentioned a couple. Crazy. I know. Crazy. Ave, you mentioned some. So let's get into these. Let's start with Orgo. All right. So maybe I'll start here. Zoom out. I'll start here. So Ansem tweeted, seems it will be tough to support tokens without some structure similar to MetaDAO's governance rights. Guys, what did I say last week, 15th? Again, a warning around some of the bags tokens, and specifically that was Dom who mentioned that. So shout out Dom. ownership right there. MCG, the top post, 570 views. We talked about it. We talked about it. Launch on for Avicii coded Game. So let's go see what Game is saying right now. So Game, and we tweeted this out as well, but found a genuine solid long-term portfolio in FOMO. There is actually only a dozen projects here that make sense to hold beyond the next rotation. Umbra, Avicii, Kled, Orgo. I mean, it looks like he's talking about my portfolio. Again, all names that MCG is covered from ICO, from 9 million to 50 million. Orgo from 1 million to 4 million. So let's talk about the Orgo thesis. Computers for enterprise AI agents with PMF. TLDR, the future of work. Okay. These guys are disrupting work. Employees. Think about it. Virtual employees. GM, Rambo. Shout out Rambo. Orgo now verified on FOMO. Guys, I'm telling you, the trenches are finding our ownership bags. Yeah, the bags warning was goated for sure. Absolutely. Okay. This is the future of work. So just started to look at Street Foundation. Look, we talk to Spencer pretty often, and one of my pieces of feedback was like, there's a lot of speculation whether it's Street Foundation, SOAR, or not. And the end of his year kind of message to the market, he mentioned that he wanted to look at it. He was excited about the concept ownership, but hadn't landed on one. And my feedback was, hey, give a little more clarity here to the market, because I think people are a little not sure. And I think, he then got around and figured out what he wanted to do, and glad he made that clear to the market. VC backed. Orgo is A16 Scout, Z Fellows, Forum Ventures, as well as Ben Pasternak. I know not a great name, but still great investor. January pilot clips off, kicking off with Series A, B companies. Covered that on MCG. Focused on these different verticals: insurance, healthcare, logistics, customer support. So finding really specific kind of wedges. Orgo is use cases for the technology to prove that it works and that you can create an autonomous workforce, and then expanding that out. Again, find a wedge and then expand it out. Closest comp is E to B, 21 million Series A, $100 million valuation. So what I think is exciting about Street is it allows Orgo to actually go and raise future capital. Because I think we want Orgo to raise future money. The fees are great, but I think Orgo, we want Orgo to accelerate. So let me kind of pull the chart open, and I'm going to try and do this on our friends of the show, Moby. All right, where's my Orgo? Right here. All right, so here's the Orgo chart. Again, if you've been watching the stream, you know that I am probably one of the biggest Orgo bulls. We've given Spencer a really great platform, and we absolutely love working with Spencer. Spencer is a high values aligned operator, or high values aligned founder. Very, very good. I don't want to say kid, but he's young, very, very good founder. So we love Spencer. I think Spencer's going great places. He may build one of the really big companies. So this is kind of in a mid-range here that stretches back to its Believe launch. I think you've seen a lot of sideways kind of digestion of the Believe token holders into stronger hands. We saw some rejections here. So if I go lower time frame, 15-minute candles, we saw some rejections back, I believe this one right here. So on Thursday last week, huge rejection. And this was largely to someone that had bought I think 10 million tokens right at the ICO and have now sold them off. And they have all gone to strong hands. So this is getting rotated through. And obviously Ansem is discovering it, right? And when you have a high quality project like Orgo that's getting discovered, that's stayed in the game, it's building for a massive narrative. I think, you know, you're going to get the market to start paying attention to this. So I like this. Go watch my Orgo content. Go search MCG Live. Put in the Orgo ticker. You'll see all the interviews we've done with Spencer. And I think this is just getting started. This is going to see a nice, potentially definitely a nice move. So good to see. We also saw some other very important news for ownership, which is, let's see, where do I have it? I have to pull it up, guys. I have to pull it up. Do we know how much, if any, does Ben have of Orgo? I remember dumping the Clyde chart and announcements was migration, afraid that he might do something similar. I don't know. I do know it is over 1%, I believe, but I don't know if he's already sold it. He may have already sold it. I think the relationship between Ben and Avi is like very different than it is with Ben and Spencer. I think Ben and Spencer are, I believe, friends, but I asked, go back and watch our last episode with Spencer. I actually talked to him a bit about the relationship between Ben and him. But I think it's a different type of relationship. So for what it's worth, I don't know if that's an issue. And to be honest with you, if the narrative is right with Orgo, those tokens will get scooped. I'm almost certain of it. I mean, they got scooped on Cled, right? Like, you know, let's go look at the Street Cled barbell here, the Street Foundation barbell, which is the Cled Orgo barbell. I agree with this, Rambo, but let's go look at the effect of a Ben Pasternak dump on the chart. Do you guys see it? Where's Pasternak's sell off here? I don't even see it, guys. I don't even see it. So anyways, it might, I can't remember. It might have been on one of these candles where it pumped, but nonetheless, we're higher than where we're almost up 110% from from that. Also, his allocation is team tokens, 1 year locked, 4 year vesting. So there you go. Don't think that's an issue. I agree with that, Rambo. Good shout outs there. Remember, Orgo is thinking about a token burn, right? So some of those tokens are locked in vesting. They're going to be burned as they come released. So there's no further kind of quote unquote zero cost basis inflation that is going to happen. All right. I need to cover a couple other things. So that's Cled Orgo. I'm going to cover another great call. So we're going to watch this. I wish Dom was on here, but Rainmaker, my gosh, Rainmaker is just crazy, guys. Yeah. I mean, Dom, absolutely. Not only selling the bottom, but it basically marked the bottom. And when you look at the Cled chart, I mean, do you really even see Ben sells? All right, guys, Rainmaker. Let's pull this. Let's pull this up here. Come on, this is a little slow. Might have to pivot charting here. Just give me a second, guys. All right, one of MCG's biggest calls. This is absolutely wild. So here I had a migration to Pump Fund. Very clearly, likely some supply control happening here. Rain is coming on tomorrow, so we're going to get all the product updates tomorrow. But MCG had this at 400K. It is absolutely wild. And so I'll show you. We'll play a little just for posterity purposes. we will share a little bit of that clip right here. So here we go. Here, check out the quote teat, guys. Let's look at this real quick. So right here, MCG October 1st, 2025. So that is over the summer when we had we started covering rain. Massive move, but here is a clip.
Summary, guys, from the Rainmaker account. But they said, today we're releasing the future of trenching, Storm AI agents. All that's required is belief, some rain, and a phone. If you're new, storms are the personal AI agents that trench using our proprietary AI models developed by in-house by Rain Dev. Storms are designed to get better over time. The current model used is predicted to graduate, but over the next few weeks, we'll be expanding to an array of exciting new models that will enable your storms to use AI in new ways. Much like Cursor did for code, we are doing that for trading. But let's look at the chart too. So we'll share this tab.
Look at this chart, guys.
I would say from a
400K
standpoint, it looks pretty stable.
Wild.
No like crazy swings. Obviously, you do have the Solana pump and retracement of like 80, 90%, 70, 80, 90%, which happens. But right now, overall, we're kind of still in the middle of the range and the chart looks pretty decent. So we'll kind of see. I think we've established, obviously, this as a nice base here. We got a nice base and range forming right here. So we'll kind of see how that.
Not only does that chart look decent, it was literally the Pico bottom of the entire rain, chart dash ecosystem. Nonetheless, we'll find out what's going on with rain tomorrow. All right. I want to cover something extremely important. We were trying over the weekend to get some Bags app launches on MCG, and people in the comments and replies were, why would you have these guys on? Some grifting happening on Bags. Look, I don't know, but one of the things that MCG does is we cover founders and projects to try and understand what people are building. We want to know where value is. We give a platform for that to happen. We serve it up to the market, and the market gets to decide what is valuable and what's not. That's how markets work. But if we don't have these conversations, then no one gets past the exposes, no one gets past the crazy hype, and no one really gets to understand truly what's going on. And so we'll dive, we dove deeper into it. So on January 15th, I'm going to play this piece on Bags because I think it's a really
Bags would do this to where, hey, if I want to go claim the fees, I have to connect my X, but maybe there's some sort of contractual agreement or there's some sort of process where it at least means that I have to talk about the token for a little bit or integrate the token or do something with it other than just straight up rug it.
Like, right? Why couldn't, like, Bags is I guess the guy is US based. Like, why couldn't there be some sort of KYC and then contract process? Like, it's okay. You raise the money and then you enter into an actual contractual agreement between Bags and the person claiming the fees. And then you could claim that, the Bags token is some sort of like, I don't know, has some sort of backing, some sort of legal ramification. This just look, and then you could give it some sort of special thing on Bags. You'd say, oh, this is a bonded or verified token on Bags. You don't have to do that for everyone, right? You could have it a tier where it's not, but then people know at least what it is. Instead, people just don't know what any of the tokens are on Bags in terms of these ramifications. So I don't know. I hope someone from Bags is listening because we want to avoid these scenarios. We want to make sure there's an incentive for Sherry to do the right things here and a disincentive to do the wrong things. And then we want token holders to know what they own. Yes, I own something that has a contractual agreement with the claimer, or no, I don't, and I'm taking my own risks.
Right. No one that bought into the token, generated fees, gives a fuck about donating to Sherry Yang.
No
one cares. They don't want to donate to her company. This is not the pro bono sort of thing where we just do everything for free. And like, look, they obviously want something out of it. They want the coin to go up. They don't care if that means you talk about it. They don't care if that means you integrate. Just make the coin go up. So yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you why Bags isn't going to do a contractual agreement or some sort of obligation for claimers to actually go and like make something out of the token. It's because no one would trade because they would know no one would claim these tokens because these people don't actually want responsibility and ties on them. And so it would actually just, I think, dry up a lot of the volume. So I can see both. Like if I was Bags, I probably wouldn't want to do anything about it either. But maybe there was a special, like you said, a special place where there is claim and this person gets verified after they sign some sort of contract, at least giving some credence to some of these tokens because a lot of them.
So Sherry Yang here actually has a really popular app called Peak.money. And I think, to jog everyone's memory, the core premise behind Bags is you have founders on the internet or individual coders. These are people on like GitHub with high GitHub stars. Someone issues a token on their behalf and it starts to trade and starts to generate fees. And then those fees that are generated are able to be claimed by the person who owns the original IP. And so if you're a founder or someone who's one of these really, really epic coders, let's say, here, I'll show Peak Money as an example. The royalties go to you. So if you look here on this Bags app page for Peak Money, you have created by this wallet. And I did not mean to click on that. Oh my goodness. You've created by this wallet, and then royalties go to Sherry when she goes to claim. And she made $29,000. Here's the core problem of this premise is she says, and people are DMing her like, hey, claim this free money, claim this free money. The problem here is there's no obligation for Sherry to do any work beyond this. She can go be like, oh, thanks, my fans, for raising money for me. I'll go and claim it. And then, yep, no legal obligation to do anything. Hands are clean. That's what it is today. And that's a problem. And we've seen some of these charts, and I'm not talking like, this is not theoretical, guys. Let's look at some of these charts. Again, we warned everyone on Thursday last week. Here's gas, right? People got absolutely crushed. This is where MCG warned everyone, said, that's where we had that clip from. We see this as interesting. I think it's an interesting model. I think it's really cool to create a token for a Web2 founder or someone that they don't know, get trading fees. So there's incentive for them to go claim it and integrate it. What I don't like is that there's no sort of legal obligation when they take that money. When you go and sponsor someone, there's a legal obligation there, right? Let's say I give someone money to run ads on my behalf, or they're an influencer. I want them to promote my product. There's an obligation there. And so I think there needs to be work happen. There needs to be some work on this model, because this is what's going to happen. 4 million to 60 million down to 1 million. And while this generates fees, excitement, narrative, that's all great. It's a problem for token holders. People get absolutely crushed in these models. So what is the solution, Josh? Please tell us. I really think this was a glowing endorsement for ownership. And I will show an example right here. And so we had SOAR come out and talk about their listing on Axiom, right, around ownership tokens. We see Ansem is getting more interested in ownership tokens. Obviously, MCG has been talking about ownership since day one. We were the first live streamers on crypto Twitter to talk about ownership, to talk about MetaDAO, all the MetaDAO ICOs, to go deep on SOAR, to go deep on Believe ICM, right? We've really staked our entire kind of ethos around building up this narrative. And now SOAR is on Axiom. So now the trenchers, the traders get to actually see these ownership tokens that are coming out of SOAR and other platforms, and they're allowed and able to trade them. And so we like this model because there is some fundamental legal backing to, like the underlying company or the underlying issuer, whether they're an individual or a token itself. And with that, we actually have today on one of our favorite projects, which is CPT. So if I go to my SOAR list, there's a number of SOAR tokens, but here is CPT, Impulsor Enterprises. This is I don't want to say defense tech, but a drone tech company. Wireless power transfer is what they're building out, innovative technologies. And I agree. If you ask me in the future, will there be wires to power transfer? The answer is no. There will be innovation around this that enables wireless power transfer. And so go look at their SOAR page, where it gives out more details around the token itself, what you're buying. Go check out and actually maybe I'll just open it real quick so everyone can see. Go check out here the artifacts at the bottom. This is where you get to see disclosures, right? So here you'll see documents that are product documents and other different. They often publish their filings for patents and IP. So here you can see kind of all the information. Now, a small part of what you see on Deck Screener or Mobi Screener is the floating supply, and then there's a overarching valuation anchored by senior debt note. Solid Viva update. All right, I'm going to really quickly check that in before I bring Patrick up. Viva, Bo. Other friends, Viva, sponsors of the show, disclosure there. All right, last few months, employees, friends, and family tested over 10,000 users, did exactly what it was meant to do. It proved adoption, validated usability, and showed us what real users actually care about. Takeaways was crystal clear: keep it simple, solve real problems. They spend monthly spending limits and actively going full neo-banking features super app. Okay, cool, guys. Go check this out on your own time. I think this is really exciting. I'll go deep on Viva after the segment with Impulsor here. But yeah, that's a pretty solid update. With that, I have the legend Patrick Sang. How you doing, Patrick?
Very well, Josh. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I like the new environment. You kind of have the same like backdrop as me.
No, yours is better.
The studio backdrop. What's going on?
My lighting's not that good, so I have to. What's better? Is it better like this or like this? This is too bright, right?
No, you're good. I think you're good. It just comes in at a weird kind of angle. But we'll get you. We need to get you a mic. We need to get you a camera and everything. So you're going to be like full on podcaster.
I like to be mobile, like Jason Bourne. I need to be able to move within 3 minutes.
Fair enough. Cool. What's going on in Patrick's life? I'm seeing the content, loving what you're putting out on X, the day in life of Patrick and Roman. How's the content capture going?
It's very good. It's kind of given me a taste of what a KOL has to go through. You have to think about what to post, what not to post. I don't want to overdo it and bore people with stupid things. So I just wanted to post some, what we do. It's obviously, on Instagram and Twitter, people always see the best part of life. I want to give a more realistic, authentic of what we do. We're also human. We work hard. You need a lot of hard work, planning, execution, and just to show people that I don't just work. I work a lot. I work hard. And I'm sure a lot of people listening work very hard in the trenches. But it's also good to rest, do different things, get inspired, and keep your body physical and moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the core important things when looking at projects, companies as an investor, and I'd love to get your take on this, Patrick, is betting on founders, betting on people. That's probably one of the most important things. You're giving kind of a viewpoint into your life and your experience. What do you want people to know and take away from when they visit your X profile?
I think everyone's different. My background is not the traditional founder. I'm not 20 years old, 25 years old. I wasn't a college dropout. So I went through finance, tech, the whole shebang, VC, private equity stuff. So, and it's only been in this case, in Impulsor's case, that it's, I keep saying it's one of my most ambitious projects to date from a time investment standpoint. So I'm spending 80-90% of my time on it, even more in fact. And it's because of the passion and also the vision and the potential of where this company and the industry will go, which is why I've jumped all in, whereas before I'm just purely a full-time investor. So I may give different opinions and values and opinions on a founder from a more investor standpoint than a pure founder executor standpoint, where a lot of founders are more, especially in tech anyway, to focus more on their project and what they do. So a lot of people behind their computers, And I'm not really a computer person. I'm a people's person, and all about the structuring and how we can do a lot of partnerships and merger. So we are approaching it in a different way to how you guys probably see it. And it's quite refreshing to be able to be part of this journey where we can share how valuations are done, what should people be looking for, and how Wall Street works and how we bring Wall Street to Web3.
Awesome. And I love the new banner here, Sang Mode. We've have you got a trademark on that yet, Patrick?
No, we're gonna take a leaf from Elon's book, which is we try and make it open source.
There you go.
Yeah, it's not about money making; it's sharing the love and work ethic.
Awesome. And make sure you go follow Patrick here. Also, I see Roman and the Impulsor X account as well. Patrick, let's get right into this announcement, because I think this was pretty cool to come through, and we covered this last week, but yeah, let's dive into Powercast here.
Sure, let's go.
Awesome. Yeah, so you dropped this last week. This is on Thursday
Friday,
last week?
Friday? No, I think it was Friday.
Got it.
And we just wanted to make people wait in suspense until Monday today to come on the show and talk to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So walk us through who Powercast is, your trip to Pittsburgh, and what kind of parts of the business are they working on?
Okay, so Powercast are a massive company, amazing company, great people, great technology. They're the pioneers of RF technology, one of the 3 types of power transfer, CPT. So they're founded in 2003, which is obviously 23 years and probably older than a lot of you who are involved in CPT. So that's a good one. They have 300 patents worldwide, and they have to date shipped over 30 million units of their products, mainly in the US. They're a relatively small team, 35 people, if I remember correctly. Bunch of engineers starting it, and they don't have, they were obviously at CES. There's a lot of information on them on the internet, on their website, on X. And they've been around the block and really good people to work with. It's my first time to Pittsburgh. That was my first stop after New York, which was the main reason I came. And mission accomplished. So January is a great month. I would also like to announce that this is the biggest announcement that we've done to date. People may not have heard Powercast as a everyday name that they would know, because they're not listed. They're a private company, and they're very private and subject to NDA and also their NDA. They have so many very big companies as clients that we're not allowed to disclose, but everyone would have heard at least 5-10 of these companies. So in fact, most of you are probably even using some of the products that you don't even know about, right?
Oh, really? Wow.
Kind of like Apple. Apple's not one of the companies that I know, but
can you share what some of those companies might be by chance?
No, and it's better we don't get into legal issues, but once we start selling the products, we can then disclose. So there's a few, I'll let you ask the questions, but just to share, there's a few ways that we're actually working with them. So they have their existing products, which we are their exclusive partner to help them distribute in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, and the Middle East. So obviously Europe with Roman and the Swiss team, they're going to deal with the European side. And then I've been obviously doing a lot of business in the Middle East, Asia, and Africa is also another amazing, huge market. They don't have the bandwidth to do that, so they're relying on us to do it. That's one. Second thing is Impulsor products, which are not Powercast. We would use them as our manufacturer and also to help co-design some of the products, but that will be IP of Impulsor. And then also we would co-develop products together, specifically for the US market. And one of the areas that we will go into would be defense tech, which obviously will be huge. A lot of their focus is more on low-powered RF, which is more consumer living and like less wattage kind of products. So a lot's going to happen with Powercast this year, and we're working behind the scenes already to get this underway.
So just to recap, there's 3 types of partnership happening here. The first one is you guys acting as kind of a sales front end to some of their existing product lines, and then pushing that out beyond the US to the Mideast, Europe, et cetera, where you guys have a footprint. The second one is co-developing IP together, which I don't know if you have any ideas on future products, but is this like, probably not with the LifeFinder one, but are there other products that you might co-develop?
Absolutely. So consumer products would be IoT. It'll be things in the home or in the office that would be very useful. We haven't decided yet, but it'll be things like, charging your electronics or sensors that help detect if your heating has gone up, down. You want to check it, and it'll be done in a very cost-effective solution. So this is not something that you would think, wow, what is it? This is kind of like what people want, but it's still not a very effective solution yet that people know about. But home solutions, office solutions, anything indoors that we would help to be able to control and regulate and help people, homes, offices save money.
Got it. And then the third one is a manufacturing partner for Impulsor products, which is this the S-Drone or what?
It won't be the S-Drone, because the two types that we will be focusing on will be MagRes and RF. They're not as focused on the optical laser, but that's a conversation that we haven't involved them yet. But if they are creating value and help us in making it better, absolutely yes. So they are one of our partners now.
Got it. And the nature of this opportunity, like, are they the ones that are actually physically with the manufacturing line putting things together, or are they kind of like a step from going from IP and concept to scaled manufacturing, but that scaled manufacturing happens elsewhere? Just give us an idea.
So they have a massive workshop. Don't quote me on this. Maybe it's like 100,000 square feet. It's a big facility, and in Pittsburgh, and they do all the manufacturing there. So because we are relatively new, in order to save time, the bulk of the manufacturing of at least the components will be done in the US first. But ultimately, what we want to do is to have the manufacturing in Switzerland. But we will have different markets like Africa, Asia, Middle East, where probably with joint venture partners, we will have different manufacturing labs, facilities in different areas to service the different areas to help us scale much quicker, and also to reach the end consumer more quickly as well. I want to share something that's quite interesting. I want to have a recommendation shout out. I gave it to Spicer first, so people don't get jealous.
Shout out Spicer. Great account to follow.
It was one of the things I've been watching over the Christmas period was the Thinking Game. It's on YouTube. It's I think it was in one of the film festivals, and it talks about the journey of Demise, who's the founder of DeepMind. Okay, so they're the guys who started off. The guy's like a whiz kid nerd guy, and obviously went to I think UCL in London, and his whole thesis PhD was intelligence. And this is way before the whole AI stuff. I think it must be like 2010 that he studied. Right, young guy, but very, very smart. Anyway, so he started DeepMind, then they did Go, all these like chess games, and then they beat all the champions, and then Google basically bought them, if I remember correctly, $400 million in 2014. And this is quite a journey that we're doing at the same time, which I wanted to show people this strategy, what we're trying to do. So what he did was, his thinking is like, hey, I can wait a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. When AI becomes more mainstream, I can make $4, 5, 10, $20 billion in terms of market cap, his share, right? But the guy's not driven by the money. He's a pure scientist who's turned into an entrepreneur. And his whole thing is to try to solve science problems. His whole motivation is not money. And that's why people like this are usually the most successful. Because if you're driven by the money, your head's not in the right place to make things happen, right? Anyway, the point of all this is his thesis and motivation was to get access to Google's data centers, to get Google's compute, to get access to the top software engineers in the world like that, even though he makes less money. Because he said, why would I wait 10 more years and lose all that time when I can speed up the development of intelligence? And they've become obviously a massive company and under Google, and they've gone from strength to strength. So what I'm saying to everyone here is we will also do something similar where we won't do just an organic growth of just 5 people in Switzerland and just, hey, let's just do the S-drone. We're going to do a combination of rollouts in various geographical regions where mergers, acquisitions, partnerships like the one in Powercast. There will be ones in Europe, in Switzerland, the UK, Africa. There's a few countries that we're working on. We have the Caribbean, which are like smaller projects, and then Asia's a huge, and then obviously the Middle East, which have money to provide, and they're trying to get us to open up labs to get us to go over there. But we have to be very strategic because a lot of these grants and labs benefits from the governments per se. They usually expect you to bring or move the whole headquarters there. And I'm not sure if Roman and the professors are willing to move from Geneva in their, fancy cabins to the desert.
Okay, that's yeah. I mean, I think Geneva's a pretty sweet town. You have some great imagery or videos of going through Geneva. So if I can summarize kind of the strategy here is your deal making in these regions around the world. Hey, we have this amazing technology. We have great partnerships to take it from idea, IP to commercialization. We want to partner with the, I don't want to say Googles of the world, but the large, Honeywells. I mean, I don't know who's in this vertical. That's the big boys, but those type of entities. Hey, we have a new product that you can sell. Is that direction correct?
You're thinking of companies like Samsung, Siemens, Nokia, all the big giant industrial companies that also have consumer and other industrial companies, though, like Honeywell, lots of companies.
Yes, yeah, broadly like those types. But you're going in those regions where they're based and saying, hey, we have these innovative products. Do I have that directionally correct?
No, we're very flexible. I mean, like I'm a deal guy, Josh, right? So I'm bringing in the deal making element to this. So let's say the UAE or Saudi, for instance, I would go there. We will find a local partner. We will get the grants from the local government. That helps us to save money, bring in the infrastructure in terms of the office, the labs, the people, the visas, the permits, whatever we need. And then I find a local partner. I don't know what the allocation would be, but let's say it's a 50-50 allocation. But I'd rather make less money more quickly than to wait, let's build our own thing in 5 years' time. Because we want to launch the products and the solutions as soon as possible, and just get the lead in first mover advantage in many regions.
Awesome. And guys, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat or at me on Telegram in the Impulsor chat so I can make sure to get those to Patrick. So we touch everything. Roman, good to see you in the chat there. I love the LOL. Roman, you're always good at leaking information in front of Patrick here live on stream. So keep it up, buddy. We absolutely love it.
Yeah. I'm not very happy with that, Josh. What can you do?
Yeah. Hey, I gotta, there's nothing I can do about that. It is in there. So going into this deal specifically, I don't know if you can touch on at a high level, the commercial relationship here. Like, when let's say you're working with Powercast, you guys co-developed something, like what does it look like for that to get to market? Like what's the timing, commercial relationship? Do they sell them in Walmart's? Like walk us through what end-to-end kind of how you see, going from product to sale to value coming back to Impulsor, how that looks or how you foresee that looking.
What's happening is very soon. on our website very soon, the S-Drone reservations and pre-orders and some side products will be available very soon. I don't know the exact date. I think Roman's coming on Wednesday. You can ask him when that's ready. The products which are PowerCast related, we will be putting on the website either this or next week. So you will be able to see it. I think the question is a bit too general in terms of how it is. There's a lot of products that they sell which you will not see in the shop, for example. Let's say iPhone, right? The iPhone or the Samsung Galaxy, and these are not the two products for record purposes. But example is when you go to buy a Samsung or an iPhone, the products that are the chips or the insides of the phone, you will not know that it's PowerCast or ABC company. You just see it as iPhone, right? And then the iPhone and Samsungs of this world, they don't want people to know that this is from PowerCast, but it's a solution from Apple or Samsung, respectively.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll start to see products at least pre-order on Impulsor's website. And I think that kind of I think that closes the loop for a lot of people, because it goes from, okay, great idea, great patents, to something that I can purchase that generates revenue. And then it's kind of like, all right, we can follow that product through its life cycle. You now have an army of salespeople that are all aligned with you in terms of your holder base, who may be customers themselves to try these products out, but also might try and help open doors for you guys. So really excited to see that. And
yeah. So I think, one thing that I really want to do, I think there's some conversations from some holders, the community, even like Meteora. And this is something that I want to actually touch upon today. And I'd love to get actually comments from people how we should do this together, because I haven't figured it out how this should be done. And I've talked about this a lot, even before the launch of SOAR, Impulsor, and everything, which is this is something. The conversion of Web 2 to Web 3 is something that we're trying to bridge. Right. And one thing that we want to do is a lot of the crypto guys involved in the trading, whether it's Bitcoin, the stables, or the meme coins in this particular case, right? People just want to make money, right? And they want to make money fast, and they're willing to take risks. But a lot of the time, there's no fundamental value, i.e. utility in a coin or anything else. And that's part of the problem. Right? So people are chasing for something which doesn't really exist or has any use, and it's only of value because it's making money, right? As soon as people start dumping, then the thing drops and then everyone loses money, right? The thing is with this, it's like a stock like Microsoft or Nvidia or Nintendo. These companies have been in existence for a long time. They're making money, and the share price is reflected by what they do in the real world, which is selling as many phones and computers or whatever the products they do. And that's in the Web 2 space and the general finance perspective, which is what we're doing. And I think people misunderstand and don't understand where is this reflected in the coin price. That's why a lot of us internally on SOAR and even a lot of the holders, they believe that we're very undervalued, and 100% of the case, yes, right? But because we're a bit longer term, I'm not looking to sell anything and so forth. So as a result, we are focused on creating the business and making sure the business is successful. And if the business is successful, the value, i.e. money, will come naturally afterwards. So I don't care if the price is $2, 20 cents, 2 cents. It doesn't affect us because we just keeps building, producing, and once we have the products being sold. So one of the key messages I want to do is we want to, as Jurgen Klopp says of Liverpool, my team, is we want to turn the doubters into believers. And I don't really care what people think, because that doesn't affect where we're going. If people want to join, excellent. If people don't, wait and see. So the next point is, as soon as we start selling these RF and MagRes products, which are PowerCast and or PowerCast Impulsor branded, we will start having revenues, and then we can start telling people that we've actually started to sell these products, right? And as a result, after that, that shows you what the result is, instead of just a dumb little beam coin which has no use, and then the guys just disappear, right? Second thing is also with myself personally, is the credibility and my personal reputation, is that this is something that is become a challenge, that we want to bridge this, and this is something that we are slowly breaking down the barrier, and we will get there, and it's just a matter of weeks, months, and we will get there. And that's why we're very confident that this will do very well, and we're super excited.
I want to give a shout out to Dom, who posted this, I believe, this morning, but this basically speaks to what you're talking about. So,
yes,
seeing CPT as a very desirable trade for patient investors, people are generally too lazy to understand the model, referring to SOAR's DRP model, leaving Impulsor at a pretty egregious discount. Not only are they lazy, but as we can see with the Axiom, it wasn't even popping up on screeners where the traders are. And then he says, I'm confident, and these are Dom's words, I'm confident Impulsor Tech could raise at a $50 to $100 million valuation based on its patents, partnerships, contracts, sector, management team, etc. The defense tech industry is trading at a significant premium, something that I covered on MCG a couple of weeks ago, yet CPT is lagging. And basically until these are fully solved in terms of tokens will trade at a huge fatal discount to their equivalent equity. I think what we're talking about here is just the ownership token kind of, let's say, problem or, dynamic. Basically what you're saying, Patrick, is there is 99.9999% of stuff out there on Solana that's based on trading, financial applications, speculation, meme coins, etc. All these narratives, you name the narrative, but there's only one defense tech company or one wireless power transfer company or one building physical products that you can go on a website and buy that have large scalable, addressable markets. What happens then is if there's only one of those and there's hundreds of thousands of other tokens that have no value, will you see this kind of, disconnect or whatever, I don't want to say frenzy, but speculation on that one company. Is this kind of what we're talking about? Is just that there's supply and demand of good quality companies out there and not a lot of supply of them. And Impulsor seems to be kind of the only one doing defense tech on Solana. Do I'm directionally kind of close on that?
Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about is we will end up having 4 or 5 different silos. One of them is consumer tech, which is the IoT stuff. We have aerospace, we have emergency services, and then the last one, which will be the big one, will be defense tech. And defense tech, what Dom was saying is totally correct. Now, if you look at Wall Street, there's like 5 or 6 companies that people know the names of, and people are jumping on it, kind of like SpaceX, right? So SpaceX is the most prominent space company, right, that people know about, and people want, that they're doing like an 800 billion raise right now, placement, and it's just oversubscribed. And the same thing for the defense tech. There's only 5, 6 notable companies, but there's actually lots of companies out there in the US and outside where there's value, but they don't have like the celebrity name yet. And as soon as they do, these companies will all add value and do very well. The amount of money that the US, Europe, China, all the different countries that, the world's very volatile right now, defense tech the next 5-10 years is huge. And people are throwing money at it from a government and investment standpoint. So that's a direction that we are pivoting towards. We haven't talked too much about it because we're still in the process of finalizing where and what the products shall be. That will obviously be another MCG exclusive. But let's talk about a little bit about PowerCast. They've sold 30 million units to date. And those 30 million units are only in the US. They haven't sold elsewhere. That's where we come in, right? And if you look at our average price is somewhere around $820. I don't think we're going to sell 30 million quickly, but imagine we just sell 1,000, 10,000, 50,000 products, and we're doing like $100 in Africa. We're talking Europe, Middle East, and Asia. So the numbers are going to be very good for our first 1 or 2 years. That's one. Now, if you look at IoT, right, the stats are basically saying by 2034, there's going to be 1 trillion IoT devices. 1 trillion. We only need to do like $1 each, right? And the thing is, these things needs to be not only powered, but imagine like how many batteries we're saving from doing this.
Yeah.
So just that market itself, and that's not even defense tech, that's just IoT, and that's Powercast's specialty.
Got it. And this is their founder and CEO here, Charles. Is this who you met with in Pittsburgh? Maybe talk a bit about their management even.
Yes. So Charles is I didn't meet Charles. He was on a business trip, but he's the CEO and he's the finance guy. I met the other Charlie, who's the CTO and one of the original founders. So he's like the Steve Jobs of the company. And then I met the sales director, Alan, who's a really, really cool guy. A bit of a older gentleman, but he has more energy than the 20-year-old. Amazing guy. The place is like a little family. And Pittsburgh, I've never been and enjoyed going there. Very a lot of history, you know, the industrial steel.
Yes.
Big in football. And then I think the Steelers lost the night before. So somebody told me you shouldn't mention the football thing. And then the first thing when I saw them, I told them, I think the Steelers lost, right? So anyway, they took over a pinch of salt. So that was a good icebreaker.
Yeah, I have my family actually lived in Pittsburgh for almost a decade. Loved the Yinslers in Pittsburgh and just a great city, and all crazy Steelers and Penguins fans too. Shout out Sidney Crosby. They're huge hockey fans too. So very cool. And these are the gentlemen here that you had mentioned.
So the one in the middle is Charlie, who's the CTO, and the one on the left is Alan, who's the sales director.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And so maybe from their end, like they look at Impulsor as a great partner because of your relationships and access to other parts of the world. Like what gets them excited about working with Impulsor?
One is they trust who we are. Roman's been having long conversations for them even before we started. So Roman has a very good relationship with them. And they know what we're doing. They know the people that we're working with, and they just want to focus on the U.S. market and get us to help with the rest of the world. So it's great that they have so much trust in us, and it's just very happy with the result.
Awesome. I think that is most of the questions I specifically had. I don't know if you have anything else that you'd like to kind of dig into.
I want to rattle up some numbers.
Let's do it.
So the market size right now for RF CPT right now as of today is 1.3 trillion.
That's huge.
By 2035, it's going to be 5.34 trillion. And some predict it's going to be over 11 trillion. With the way that the world is moving now with wars, AI, the compute, the energy demands, I think the number is going to be bigger than that. I think it's going to be $15-20 trillion. And that's huge globally, right? And then things like transportation, logistics, which Tim is involved. We have real-time tracking, the position, temperature, which will be more effective than what they have now. They already have this technology. Another big thing is smart city. Smart city is a buzzword, but in places like Africa and third world developing countries, smart cities is when a piece of ground which is empty, there's not much there, they completely revamp the whole thing. So data collection, optimization of systems for like waste management, the grids, smart meters, smoke detectors, all this requires these sensors and other parts, which we will hope to get the business of. And this is like city by city, country by country. And that's huge.
Yeah, agreed.
We haven't even talked about AI alignment yet. So AI is not our core business. AI will only help after you've extracted the data. So let's say the temperature. So we'll be able to figure out that, the fire alarm before it goes off and it's not working and so on. So all that will be powered by the AI to help you alert if anything needs to be done. And then there's like industrial uses such as like building management, warehouse, and of course safety, right? And then lastly but not least is like databases, like in emergency situations, then the RF or the MAC-RES is able to help power if there's any kind of like blowout and they lost power, because batteries obviously run out. Wires could be a problem, but we're able to solve that. So there's lots of use cases here, and with PowerCast's help, we're able to solve a lot of them.
Got it. And yeah, so when we started, CPT Impulsor was a drone company. Of course, you had this wireless power transfer as like an overarching kind of IP and theme, but the physical products were drones. And now we're going basically to all parts of IoT, edge devices, data collection in real time to AI, all using power transfer is kind of like the big unlock, not needing batteries, not needing.
I would correct that a little bit, Josh. I think all along we were a contactless power transfer company. It's just we are also very good at marketing, where we know that the drones, the sci-fi stuff will capture people's attention. So that's why we have the spaceship looking drone and all that kind of stuff at the beginning. But the IoT, the Life Finder, the IoT stuff is just things that you don't even think about. The window's not closed. There's a gap. The temperature's lower. That's all like boring stuff that people don't want to think about. But we're going to be selling like trillions of units over time. Obviously not in 1 year, but over time. That's the market, right? And people don't want to do the boring stuff. Like if I go to the casino when I gamble or when I play, I want to basically win boring and just not take risk, right? The same thing here is we don't want to take any uncalculated risks just for the sake of excitement. So that's how we positioned it. But actually, we've always had the plan to sell various types of products, including the IoT, the solutions, the logistics. Then you have the drones, the emergency services, and now we're trying to do it more in the defense area.
Great. I love it. Dom here says, could we also get a recap on all up-to-date partnerships and collaborations? I know we've talked a lot about PowerCast here, but yes, any kind of overarching updates you want to provide?
Yeah, so PowerCast is our main partner now for this purpose. Massimo is our partner for the optical light ray technology. Those two are our main partners for now. There's more collaborations coming, but until we've signed, don't want to say too much.
Right, and the optical light ray, is that for the S drone?
That's one of them, yes. And then obviously the other partner that we have is Life Finder.
Right, Life Finder.
That's specifically for that product and solution, obviously.
Right, and who's building the S drone?
We are building it in Switzerland.
Okay.
The components are ordered from other companies such as Massimo.
Got it. Okay. Do you know timeline wise if we could get a picture of the S drone, like somehow not on the assembly line, but I don't know, like how you produce them?
Yeah, I think realistically it'll be in February sometime. I don't know the exact dates, but I know that everyone is anticipating that a lot, and we're doing our best to try to get to that point.
Maybe just a question. We see the biggest and fastest innovative loops around drone production is, at the UE Defense Show that was there when we were at Finance Week. There's the Ukrainians have built all these little factories in car parks and office towers where they're just turned into assembly lines for mass scale drone development. The Russians also are huge in drone development. Like, are there partners that are doing drone development now that have almost acute use cases that you guys are kind of like talking to as well in terms of some of these products? Or is the approach kind of like, let's focus on our own drone development program from the ground up versus borrowing from other areas?
No, we're focused more on our own products, but we are talking to other, in this case, like other drone companies that we would talk to see if there's any collaboration or if there's any parts that we can order from them. Because a lot of the time CPT is probably not compatible.
Okay, got it. Cool.
So existing drones are not compatible, and the CPT will have to be, amended or fixed by us in order to make that happen.
Yeah. Maybe a question, and I'll ask Roman this one, but I was wondering if energy transfer was possible through fiber optic cables, but I don't know if that's even possible. That's a Roman question I'll ask for next week. Cool, Patrick. I mean, I just double checked the chat here as well as the Impulsor holders chat. I don't see any specific questions. Further questions. I'm going to check Spizer's X account. This is another great account to go follow right here at Spy and then ZER. And, talking about ownership, obviously with the SOAR badge. So go give them a follow. MCM, another great account. Trying to see if there's any CPT. We're going to give this a follow back. But any CPT alpha on here that we can just cover.
Romans told me it's possible to transfer energy with fiber optics. There's your answer.
Possible. I love that.
Yeah. Possible. Anything is possible.
Okay. Got it. Well, I definitely want to see S-drone pictures, of the production line or whatnot.
Yeah. Ask Roman on Wednesday, and then he'll let you know.
Okay, got it. I think we have all of the updates that we need to cover, Patrick. Anything else that I'm missing, or we definitely synced the market up?
No, I have a meeting at 4:00 in New York today. It's the beginning of a. I can't say so much yet, but if this goes well, then I'll be on next week again.
Okay, I love it. And is that meeting with the New York-based accelerator that was building defense tech?
No,
the incubation lab?
That's happening, but it hasn't happened yet. It's happening.
Happening.
I had a meeting with David already, but still in discussions. But this is a new one.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, Patrick, we love these drop-ins, these quick touch points as development keeps unfolding. I think we got some wise words on general, like how to think about these type of companies in the context of crypto. So hopefully we're educating the trenches as well.
Sorry. Last thing before we go is, actually I was alluding to that earlier. If everyone refers to Soju of Meteora, he had a tweet, I think yesterday, the day before, talking about there's two problems to be solved. One of them was trying to get to the point, which was, how do you solve this bridging of the Web 2 to Web 3 because of the valuation point? And I think I posted something today or yesterday, so my memory's going, the dementia's coming, where any suggestions from the audience as to how we educate a lot of the traditional crypto people to really understand what we're doing. Impulse is just one example. I think we're just trying to be one of the pioneers to break that barrier. Like, what can we do? What should we do in order to educate some of the people? So someone like Spicer, MCM, Maru, to a lot of the guys who are following us and great supporters. they understand because they've met me, they've talked to me, they see what we're doing. But there's a lot of people that they don't even read half the stuff, so they don't even get on board of giving us a chance. So I want to ask the audience if there's any things that we could do better or improve, or communication, or anything that we will help, that will help to eradicate this, I would call, misunderstanding.
Yeah, we could definitely collect some of those and cover them on a future stream. I think you're referring to this. I was just trying to find the tweet you might be referring to. I believe this might be it. 2 problems to solve: make DJing community lean longer term. So this is a big one that I think, these frequent updates really help with, in terms of people kind of, like, if you already own a token, let's say, what's your reason for selling it? A lot of the times it's fear or taking profits. But on the other hand, if you know what you own, or you know that it is backed by something fundamental, you're less likely to sell it and more likely to let the thesis play out, right? Like, I own Galaxy Digital stock. I've owned it since 2018, and it's gone from a few dollars to, $30, $40. There are many times of fear in that journey, but if I just held it for the long term, I let them execute and accrue value to the underlying equity of the business. So I think this is one of the education points. Make longer term degens richer. And I think this is more on the source side, is, do you have a mechanism to allow value accrual to the token, almost in the lieu of, kind of some of the regulation that's hopefully coming out in the next weeks here. But, that's a DRP is a model that allows for that value accrual to the token, unlike other things we've seen like Padre and other apps that just get acquired and there's zero value accrual. And make tokens more powerful in owning the thing. Owning the thing is the key. What's the thing? The thing could be various things: defense tech. It could be innovative companies. It could be, management teams on their ability to execute, et cetera, revenues, et cetera. Is that, I think we touched on it here, Patrick. I think this is what you were referring. I don't know if you have any final
Yes,
thoughts
correct.
on this.
This is the first one. So I just wanted to ask the audience, like, what can Impulsor or PT do to help solve, for example, the first one?
Got it. All right. Longer term. Awesome. Cool, Patrick. Well, thank you for hopping on and giving us that context. As always, we look forward to Roman, who will be on, I believe, Thursday for an engineering focused conversation.
So I think it's Wednesday. Wednesday, 1:15.
Wednesday, yes. Yes, Wednesday, 1:15. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'll have to double check that. But yes, thank you thank you very much for joining us in your time, and we'll see you on the next one.
Pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Awesome. See you, Patrick.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, there is Patrick Sang of Impulsor. The TLDR here is they have the relationship with, I want to get the name correct, Powercast is a multi-pronged strategy for generating short-term revenue that will be long-term, but in the short term, getting products to market, getting them on the website, a partnership that will allow them to resell Powercast existing products, which they've sold 30 million units to the rest of the world. They only sell in America today. So that's one. Two, to co-develop IP together that might not exist as contactless power transfer kind of unfolds itself. And then 3, to manufacture some of the existing Impulsor specific IP as a contract manufacturer. And to recap, Impulsor, when they launched, they had IP, patents, a very small executing team. And now what we're seeing is kind of the initial manufacturing steps that are needed to take that IP from concept in labs and cool Star Wars-like ideas to products that are commercialized that generate revenue. And this is like nothing else that is on chain. So, The other key takeaway was just that there is a valuation for what people in crypto Twitter think Impulsor is valued at. And then there's the supply and demand dynamic that, there's only how many real defense tech companies with A+ management team are even purchasable as a token on chain. I mean, Andril pre-stocks maybe, but in terms of ones that have real legal guarantees, Andril, the pre-stocks Andril it's a synthetic issued, non-regulated, even, potentially not even legal kind of token model. Whereas with the SOAR DRP model, Impulsor is got a senior debt note tied to its balance sheet that comes with some sort of legal tie-in if there's an acquisition, if Impulsor were to go public, et cetera. So, and the model there is that if there's an acquisition, that senior debt note would have to be paid off. And to pay it off, they take those funds and they would have to buy the CPT token itself on chain to buy back that debt. And so that's kind of the legal tie-in. So always interesting to have Impulsor on. Roman again is more of an engineering talk. Patrick more strategy, vision wise, but definitely a prolific investor. So let's see. I covered a lot today, guys. Absolutely covered a lot. Man, Orgo just looking absolutely amazing here. What's another business going through the ownership token life cycle? This would be it. Orgo. Absolutely Orgo. Let's try Mobi Screener again. I was using Mobi, but it was lagging my computer while I was streaming. So let's go back here. Get Mobi up here. One of the other ones I wanted to cover too today was Umbra. This is another ownership token on MetaDAO, but having some significant catalysts coming up. And then we'll cover Viva as well. But here's Umbra. I mean, I've been pretty bullish on this on stream for some time, down here in the 50 to 60 cent range. And this has had some nice kind of distribution consolidation, whatever you will. Going back to the ICO, really hyped and then kind of selling off as people realized they maybe weren't as close to rolling out their mainnet as people thought. But now we're seeing that they're going, audits are complete or in the final stages of being complete, and they're very close to a rollout. And we actually have a really nice thesis post. So not only does this chart, I think, look really great, but we do have a really nice thesis post that I am going to pull up. Of course, also, Game is likes the name, which is good confluence there because Game is a good investor. But let me see. Might have to check my DMs, guys. All right. I'll also cover Avicii. I have. All right. Umbra thesis. Here we go. I wanted to share this earlier. All right. So JW has a thread here just on the overall Umbra thesis for a comprehensive understanding of Umbra. Let's go through this here. All right, so they describe Umbra as like incognito mode for Solana, basically incognito mode for your wallet, and it's designed to have its privacy tech implemented through an SDK into third-party apps. And we saw Or Supply talking about this. And, you know, it could be potentially into things like Phantom, et cetera. And why this is important is because we've been talking about privacy for, man, going on like a decade. And in crypto, going back to, you know, when I first got into crypto 10 years ago, and just even today, on-chain transactions are like, I'm not, you know, no one's doing on-chain private transactions yet in a meaningful way. And so this might be a solution to keep an eye on. And it could have pretty asymmetric upside. I mean, look at what other privacy Dino coins are trading at. You know, Monero, Zcash, we're talking tens of billions of dollars of valuation. And one of the problems with those tokens is you need to actually own the token to use the network, right? You have to own Zcash to use Zcash privately. You have to own, you know, Monero to use Monero privately. But with something like Umbra, is more of an infrastructure or network layer on Solana. And that's where I think, you know, based on the business model, do they take fees? You know, what's Umbra's model? Do you need Umbra to use the protocol, et cetera? It could have a really asymmetric opportunity in 2026. I actually really agree with this thesis. The most stripped down thesis of this: Umbra delivers easy to use privacy that feels no different from a non-private wallet. It solves the privacy UX problem entirely that I just mentioned. You will soon have to ask yourself, why Phantom? This is the most asymmetric opportunity I see in 2026 and one of the most important product launches of this entire cycle. Whatever's left of it. Wild. $50. Okay, so JW thinks $50. I think that's a little, you know, here are some valuations, you know, 133x to get to Zcash, 244 to Monero, 22 to Dash, 3x to Railgun. Again, at $1.46 circulating, could this be a $50 million, sorry, let me say, a $50 token? Potentially. All I have to say is this chart looks amazing. I mean, you could we could come back on stream and kind of see this, you know, play out doing something like this. And then just, you know, it's a little steep maybe, but it could start getting some traction and breaking out of this, whatever you want to call it, a range or post ICO consolidation. So really like Umbra, I think there's a lot here to look at. Go look at Crew. Crew is coming on MCG soon, but it's going to be, I believe, after mainnet launch. So, yeah, we're pretty excited about this one. We don't own it in the MCG treasury, but we are interested in adding it. The other one I'll call out is we had an Avicii update here. Let's see, good take on ownership tokens from Avocado, Avo Toast. What do we got? Okay. MFers would rather go to their way to unsolicitedly raise money for a project they not involved with or frankly care about. Give away said money to a dev with no strings attached. We just saw that on Bags, guys. Hope they will take on responsibilities of managing, promoting the token, marketing, community engagement, communications, etc., along with all the legal reputational risks the dev never asked for or wanted. Rather than buying ownership coins, where the founders literally proactively signed up for all these things, we just had Patrick Sang on. Go look at his content. Upfront, within confines of a platform that enforces rules. Launch on SOAR. Holder rights. This is a legal senior debt note enshrined in U.S. law. And treasury management. Impulsor is not currently raising money or using the market for liquidity. And then they wonder why they're poor. Look, guys, we said it so many times. You know, MCG was the first to really cover ICM, first to cover ownership tokens, first to cover things like Avicii, Umbra, etc. We have all those receipts. We post on the timeline. We went from sole utility season to really focusing on ICM, and then now ownership tokens, which are legal obligations for token holders. All the hallmarks of an ownership token season are in front of us here. We see the components. You choose the model. Is it MetaDAO? We saw a mini MetaDAO season. Is it SOAR? We have yet to see a SOAR season, but now integrated into Axiom. I think that's really bullish. Or is it a street season where we see the CLED Orgo barbell start to perform well and people speculate on what the ownership percentage will be? Either way, either one of these models, we are seeing kind of the seeds of the next major narratives. The next major narratives that are more investable than anything else we've seen, more investable than meme coins, etc. Not my words. Mike Dudas made an investment in MetaDAO for this exact reason. He said this, and I quote, "This is the first kind of token, liquid token he's seen that was investable, that was tied to a company." So we're seeing all the hallmarks of this kind of playing out. Really quick, I'm just going to check in on these Avicii numbers. Again, go look at the MCG receipts. We had Avicii at $4 million, $6 million during its ICO, pre-ICO and post-ICO. A full corridor is done, 3 months live for the People's Banks. What happened? Since the first October update, spend is from 1.6 million to 8.26 million, up 400%. Credit created. This is credit originations are a important metric because credit is a high margin business. You can take good fees. Transaction business is like a race to the bottom, but a credit business is high margin and the customers are stickier, right? Once you acquire a customer that's using you for a credit card, let's say it's your mortgage, a loan to start a business, those are sticky products where you're not necessarily going to compete with everyone else as a race to the bottom on fees. Spend transactions. These are numbers, not in terms of value, but up 300%. Average spend, 20%. Retention improve. Holder count up since launch, 9x. Still 58% below the highs. Really good numbers, guys. I think, shut out. We'll give you a follow back. Good numbers. Let's look at the Avicii chart. Because again, another one that MCG recently had some receipts on. Okay, so we streamed at the end of the year, I think it was down around here somewhere. MCG was banging the table on this pullback. And basically we said, if you miss the initial run, oh, don't want to choose that one. Will it let me? No, I can't post. But anyways, if you missed the initial run, so MCG initially featured Avicii, and I can I go to 12-hour candles? Let's do that. Let's do 12 hours. All right. We initially covered Avicii back here in October, and actually pre to this because of ownership season, King's mentality, absolutely. Due to pre the ICO, ran up one of our best calls, 10x, more than that, 20x in like month and a half. Huge trade. Ansem in it, others in it, Game in it. They all saw it on MCG. Maybe. I don't know about Ansem, but Game definitely really helped to build up some of our kind of reputation around finding these. Nice little floor here down at $2. We have a bit of a range forming, right? So you could kind of look at, let's say this is mid-range, and then I'll delete this. Right here on Avicii, we have top of the range. So right now, it looks like we are definitely kind of at the low end of this range and looking for a mid-range break, and then to potentially see this consolidate and break out to all-time highs. The business metrics are there. The hype and awareness are there. Everyone knows who Avicii is. You know, the RAM and the team that run the account has done a magnificent job at sharing the story. So there's kind of two ways to look at this. I think here you start to, right where we are today is a good risk reward area in terms of, you had this huge run up, it's pulled back 60%, and it's starting to test in a higher low here. And I think, you know, you want to kind of DCA here. Your bear case is that it breaks this, you know, does maybe one of these, you know, runs some stops and then goes, or it holds this area here and starts to break out. So these are kind of one, I think you have to, if you do not own, if you miss this first run, I think this is where you look for entries in here. So, but as always, make your own decision on that. Guys, any tokens I should be looking at? Last week, Bags was the talk of the town. Are we going to see a rotation, guys? What's the next launch pad? You know, we have Soar. Soar just launched on Axiom. Is there a Soar season? I mean, if you look at some of the Soar projects, right? We have Morpheus, who has their mobile app out. By the way, I go download this. If you want to find some alpha, go download the Morpheus app in the App Store. Go their X account, you'll see it. Go try it out. If you like it, if it's a great product, I've not tried it myself, but if it's a great product, maybe owning it at 67K is cheap here, right? You know, you don't have to bet the farm on this. You don't have to size in too high, but if you like the product and go look at their artifacts, might be a solid risk reward. Mark Scarpa, Defiance TV, 76K, right? The shareholders of Defiance are Patrick at Impulsor. He's the biggest cash investor. There are Tim Draper and some other pretty prolific people work with Mark. You know, does Defiance kind of figure it out here? You know, only 237 holders. Again, now this token is on Axiom. Just saying, it's on Axiom. And then lastly, Impulsor. And whoever, I mean, like, again, kind of, you know, selling into these live streams. I think going forward, what we might do is not announce a schedule, you know, so people don't kind of know what's coming. Because I think the surprise is helpful. But then there's Impulsor again. Let's go look at some of these artifacts here. Let's see. So these are the kind of artifacts you can expect from SOAR. Is a patent filing. Here's the background of the patent, solutions that exist, overview of the system, the key innovation, the technical overview and documentation, redacted, some very rough, high-level kind of schematic diagrams of how the systems work, a further of how the drone works and flies through the system, and then just, you know, the filing itself, right? Impulsor Enterprises LLC, Wyoming, USA, sorry. The inventors and contributors, some references all redacted. But these are the types of filings you should come to expect from an ownership token, right? This is the type of transparency we like to see. So some of what Impulsor is talking about is defensible here. Defensible in these thoughts. Any thoughts on Rect? Shout out to Alan. Maybe on Wednesday, Roman. Any thoughts on Rect? I have no thoughts, but let's open it up. I did see Rect Mundo. Let's see, they have a token right here. Oh, my camera's glitching, guys. Let's see. Reset that. All right, I don't know what happened to my camera, but we're gonna go to the feed is glitched. All right, I'm getting a bad feed from this camera, so we'll go back. We'll go back to my just the basic webcam here. Oh. Sorry, guys, I'm having camera issues. Either way, let's look at Rect. Let's look at this chart. Oh, what is this token? 950K. Is this a new launch? Bro, what is this? I know Rect. All right, I gotta check this on here. Not getting a clean feed. I mean, this token is. Look at this. What is this? Market cap 150 million. I'm gonna say 1 year. This is the oldest version of it. I mean, this is broken out some sort of wedge, but I mean, look, you got a 276%, 300% upside to hit all-time highs. You know, are you going to be fighting people selling into all these levels? I don't want to be fighting that. I'll say that. Here are all the contract addresses. I have seen. Oh my goodness. Let's watch. Giant Eagle. Oh, that on sale. Don't know if that's a bullish thing or not. That's cool. Rewards? What is this? On base. Oh, cool. I get some Rect tokens. Very cool. I mean, that's pretty neat. Okay. This is why I have a little bit of a problem with this. These are inflationary rewards, guys. I am not bullish on inflationary rewards. Also, do you own any of the Do you own the underlying equity of the business? Is there any ownership here? Maybe, I don't know. Someone can maybe tell me in the comments, but it's already pretty valued. You're buying a drink company at $150 million. So cool community. I know they have been involved, and I believe like the guys from Rug Radio are all part of this. You know, they're good dudes, but they're here to sell you something. And I don't like the inflationary rewards on the token. So with that, guys, I think we'll cap today's stream there. We'll leave it at that. Ownership tokens. Know what you own, guys. Definitely know what you own. Go check out SOAR. It's now on Axiom. There could be a SOAR season. You need tradable product, but you need discovery. And Axiom has kind of shown that. The bags implosion has really shed a light on ownership might be the only model for kind of enforcing people to go and do what they say. So with that, I don't see anything else in chat. No other token requests. We have pretty awesome stream that's scheduled. We have a few more to add. Oh yeah, Viva. Sorry, this is the Viva update. So let's just cover this real quick. So at the top of the show, we talked a bit about Viva. The first step, if you remember the Viva story, or if we've talked about Viva a long time. They are sponsors of MCG, and I'm gonna get my camera right. Man, some technical issues. So I can't fix that right now. But if we remember kind of what Viva's doing here, step one. I'm having issues with my browser. Sorry, guys. So step one was get the Viva token integrated to the Viva app. Step two is build compelling experiences where you can use the Viva token. They've announced things like AI, there's gift cards, etc. Step three, kind of solve some problems. Look, Bolivians face $10 to $50 monthly spending limits. You can't buy a ChatGPT subscription, right? So if you can only access AI services through Viva, then there's demand for the token. Viva is a currency play. This isn't ownership. I understand that, but this is a currency play. Can you onboard a nation, 12 million people, GDP of like $4,000 to $5,000 US? So significant. We are also working closely with the government to ensure what comes next is compliant, secure, and built for long-term national financial access and growth. Whoa. National financial access and growth. National financial access and growth. I think that's all you need to know from this announcement. Some really exciting updates there. Let's look at what Viva's doing here. No data. Come on. All right. Nice little reaction here. Bottom of a range. You are, let's see. So from today, about 300% upside to all-time highs. Again, disclosure, we've worked with Viva in the past. We also hold Viva. So we, of course, like today's price action. And we're in fairly regular contact with Nathan and the team. Ultimately, like what they're doing. I think if they're right, and they onboard millions of people in Bolivia, and those millions of people hold an average balance of $50 to $100 million, or $50 to $100. And this is a fixed supply, 50% circulating, and they have to go buy that, or through the Viva ad network, they're used as incentives. So they're bought off the market. this could be one of the bigger plays in 2026. Could be a monster in 2026. I think you have to pay attention to what's going on here. So I'll leave it at that, because this thesis needs to play out. We need to see kind of like the on-chain cause and effect, onboard 1,000 users. The effect is they buy $100,000 of tokens, right? $100 each. And here's the on-chain purchases. When we can, verifiably close that loop, I think this could go, definitely in my opinion, much higher. Anyways, we'll end there on Viva. Everything you saw today, not financial advice. Go do your own research. Disclosures are on our X account. If you click about, we also list there who we're sponsored by, so that you guys can see those as well. Other than that, we have an awesome schedule this week. Come, 12 noon tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and I believe Friday we're taking off again. Slow day today as markets in the US are closed, but a lot of crazy news between the Greenland and European Union. So yeah, King's mentality, Dom, Roman, Wrecked Guy, HFK, Rambo. Appreciate all you guys. Daddy Duster, Ave, Crazy CRL. Any news on the S-Drone demo? Soon. I see you post that at 6 a.m. So, oh my goodness, I'm just seeing hard to not keep cheesing this morning. Yeah, but look, keep a level head. Nothing changes with these theses. Have a long-term take. Think long-term. Ownership token season coming. 2026, big year. See you.